Good morning and welcome to the United Way Campaign Think Tank. My name is Steve and I work in the Resource Development Department at United Way. And we are so excited to have you all here this morning. Over the past 4 months, we've been working to really pivot the way that we do our work. We've been meeting with all of you employee campaign managers and companies who want to continue to support the community through United Way during these historic times. On behalf of the entire organization, we can't say thank you enough for serving your company and the larger community through your role this year. We have a lot planned for the day, so let's get started. We're gonna start with a little icebreaker / warm up to get us familiar with our breakout teams for the day and thinking about the community. We'll then hear from United Way's President and CEO, Renee Moe, and then get a glimpse of what a United Way kickoff will look like in 2020. The rest of the day, we're gonna dive into our simplified equation for a successful United Way campaign, which is to educate, build empathy, and engage employees. We'll learn about plenty of options to help educate in a session about the campaign guide and toolkit. Then we'll take a look at a few exercises to help build empathy in your workplace. And finally, we'll talk about a few strategies to engage employees through our new leadership giving group and special event fundraisers. The other thing worth noting is that our 2020 class of loaned executives are joining us today and will help facilitate your small group breakout sessions. Any questions about what we have on the docket today? So we're going to start by first having you introduce yourself, your name, your company, and then if you want to expand a little bit more on, whoops, what's going on, slideshow, don't jump on me, what you love most about your United Way campaign. After you do that, we're going to ask you to start talking about what are some of the issues affecting our community. So I'm just going to put this fact out there. 62,000 of our Dane County residents live in poverty. So we'd like you to discuss what are some of those main contributing factors for that situation. Are there any variables affecting poverty that we don't have up on the whiteboard right now? Seeing a lot of head nods.
Pretty good.
So some of the loaned executives were feeding me a little bit of what you were discussing, and I put them on this whiteboard here. Was there anything that we may have missed when we're talking about some of the contributing factors of poverty in our community? Okay, I tried to synthesize a couple of them. So next step is we're going to try to bucket some of these into commonalities. So let me just see here. Child learning, access to education, job qualifications, transportation, mental health, access to food, childcare, eviction, graduation rate, isolation, old age, job access. Policy's kind of in the middle. Healthcare.
Steve, can you throw minimum wage in there somewhere?
Minimum wage, sure thing.
Access to affordable homes.
Affordable housing, does that work?
There's also unexpected sudden unemployment and extended furloughs in the chat.
Thank you. Can't see the chat right now, so appreciate that. Not knowing where to turn for resources.
Bias, racial inequity.
Ooh, that's a good one.
We do unemployment reliability as well.
There. Racial bias, I heard, right? Awesome. So this is what looks to be the kind of common buckets for some of these contributing factors. Next, what we're going to actually have you do is discuss one of these buckets. We're going to throw you back into your breakout groups. But I mean, if we could kind of roll this all together, it seems like this is kind of income type variables. This has to do with kind of education, health, and then we've got kind of this middle thing that might kind of attach to everything. So, excuse me. We're going to throw you back in. If you could now start talking about solutions to one of these buckets. So choose as a group which bucket to focus in on: education, income, health, and start thinking about how do we solve that? Give a viable solution for how to get rid of those things so that everybody can kind of succeed in Dane County. Well, welcome back, everybody. That probably wasn't a lot of time to try to solve our community's biggest issues, but we would love to hear from a couple of your groups. So Elizabeth, would you share a little bit about what your group discussed for a solution?
So we talked about specifically with education, how solutions would need, how complex solutions are, right? So with education specifically, we talked about access to virtual learning, you know, parents needing to teach and work at the same time, and what solutions we can have there, access to computers, internet access, stable housing, transportation to school, work, basic needs with food and housing, mental health. We talked about how those resources are needed, especially when parents are stressed, and the impact on the child. We talked about, you know, how children in shelters or temporary housing might be navigating this, and how they really need some stability there in order to succeed with education. Also COVID's impact and children who might need hands-on learning, especially children who might have a disability, and the extra resources they might need there. And also we talked about counseling and mental health.
So it sounds like while you started talking specifically about education and the few things that we had in the bucket, you soon trickled into every other area.
Yeah.
Nathan, would you mind sharing what your group talked about?
Yeah, and kind of like what Elizabeth was just saying, we started in the area, but what we found is that so many things are connected to health. We were talking about health, you know, especially things like income. So what we talked about mainly, I think to take away in a word, was access. That when it comes to healthcare and insurance, everything is so complicated. And, you know, United Way has a lot of programs to help folks understand the complication and navigate that uncomplication, but these things are still confusing and difficult. So the issue is, how do we get folks aware of what's available? How do we empower them to understand how to navigate them and then feel confident navigating them, especially with folks like seniors or folks with disabilities who might traditionally struggle to work within those areas. So I think, yeah, our big takeaway is we need to expand these programs and expand that access through education and outreach. Of course, there's so many more issues, but we had a time constraint, but that was our main takeaway.
Thank you. Thank you to you and everybody in your group. How about Denise? What did your group discuss?
Well, we were focused a lot on income with that piece of the agenda for change. And what we quickly found is that similar to the other groups, as we circled back and how complex it is and that everything's intertwined. So for example, you know, with the living wage that we have here in Dane County, you know, it'd be very difficult to find stable housing, but it really, our conversation trickled back to the basic education. And really, you know, I loved the conversation. There were things I didn't think about. You know, it's like your basic life skills and how to balance your checkbook and to negotiate on a lease agreement. You know, it's just so many different things where if we were able to have the outreach to people and really educate them and build relationships, they could find what their niche is, because it's not cookie cutter. And so we were kind of like, you know, we were focused on income, but it really kind of like overlaid all of the pieces of the agenda for change.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for all of you for having that conversation. What you just went through is actually one of the facilitated experiences we've come up with to try to get employees to see the community and United Way's work from a different perspective. So our bet was that by just a few minutes of conversation and thought, you'd come to the same conclusion that United Way has been building for decades, namely that these issues are very complex. They require a lot of collaboration and communication. And then that one of the easiest ways to help is to provide resources to those who are dedicating their lives to solving the issues. And to speak a little bit more about what that work looks like today, we're lucky to have United Way's President and CEO, Renee Moe, with us. So Renee, I will hand it over to you.
Thank you, Steve. And what a great conversation you're having. I don't know how lucky you are. I'm the one who feels lucky. Each and every one of you here today representing your organizations and doing this hard work on behalf of our community. I just, it's so hard for me to express my gratitude for the work that you do, because you are the volunteers who reach in to your organizations, who help inspire your colleagues to be able to be a part of the solutions that all of you were just talking about. So from the deep, deep bottom of my heart and, into my guts, thank you so much for the work you're doing on behalf of our community. I don't think I can underscore how important your role is in helping us really come out of this pandemic in the most effective way possible. I want to start with Anissa Scott. So we lost an 11-year-old child this week in Madison, and it was due to gun violence. And, when you think about gun violence, kids who are stealing cars, breaking into homes, and that sense of disruption that everyone is feeling, not only because of the pandemic, but because of these fissures in what's going on in our community that we're just not quite getting our arms around. I want you to know these things are connected. And the work that we do each and every day, which are all the things you just described, I was so lucky to be able to hear you have that discussion. When you think about what does it take for individuals to be healthy and strong and safe and secure, what does it take to have housing where people have a place to have a retreat, to put their heads at night, to sit around a table and share a meal with a loved one? What does it mean to feel welcome in a school environment where you can learn how to read, where you can have that sense of self-confidence, where you can project a vision of your future? What does it mean to have the skills to go on to whatever it is you want to do post-education? You have the critical thinking skills, you've got the literacy skills, you've got that self-confidence to go on to higher education or to get a job, to be a great team member, to understand how to listen and process their emotions. And what does it take to have a strong family, right? We know when individuals and families are strong and stable, that's what makes our neighborhoods and schools healthy and thriving. Those healthy and thriving neighborhoods and schools are what makes a strong workforce, economy, and society. And that is precisely the work that you are doing when you are helping us educate the community about these hard issues that are going on right now, and how we as individuals, as Steve just said, can help be a part of the solution, how we can help mobilize and make a difference. People are really feeling stressed out right now. They are overwhelmed by all the changes going on. People are worried about their jobs. They're worried about their salaries. They're worried about health insurance. They're worried about their loved ones getting sick. Many of us have experienced that already with our loved ones. And there's just that general sense of stress and anxiety around kids going back to school. What does virtual learning mean? Who's going to get behind? And how are people just going to manage all this complexity right now? And I think it is in that moment where we have to really focus in on the compassion and the vision for what we need to do to pull together to make things better and come out of this stronger. Because we will, right? We always do. When you look in our history, whenever you have really hard, difficult things, when we pull together, when we get focused on what's most important, we will come out stronger. And that's really what this United Way community mobilization plan and activation campaign is all about. And that's really what we're talking about today in ThinkTank. In March, when schools closed, we had a heads up. So the superintendent called me, I think the Thursday before schools closed. And of course, the governor announced on Sunday that schools were closing even a couple days sooner than many of the Dane County districts. We were already activated at United Way. We've been watching coronavirus around the world and seeing some things in the country, even starting last November. We knew the first case arrived in February, and by the time the safer at home orders were announced, we were able to unplug at Atwood Avenue and really plug back in at homes and keep things moving. 211 calls increased literally 300% that first week, and people were asking for food and rent assistance and flexible funding. We pulled together all the nonprofits and we said, what are you seeing? What are the demands? And certainly for some families who weren't eligible for federal benefits, there was an immediate crisis as so many of our service industry jobs and others shut down immediately. So, we heard right away from families as well as nonprofits what the needs are in the community. So in partnership with Boys and Girls Clubs, Helpless Ambition, Centro Hispano, and the Latinx Consortium for Action, we were able to raise over $2 million in a short matter of time and get those dollars distributed to families who were needing work and help right away. So that is the emergency response. We've been able to get PPP out to agents, personal protective equipment out to agencies. We've been able to help volunteers mobilize quickly. The mayor asked us to pull together the volunteer corps to respond to the coronavirus. And so of course, United Way is very happy to help with that. And really now, when we talk about long-term solutions, we know that 2021, especially for nonprofits who have not been able to fundraise this year, it's going to be a really difficult year next year for nonprofits, as well as so many industries and families who aren't able to get back online to work. So this campaign is so critically important because we know that now is the time to help our community understand and know how they can give, advocate, and volunteer to help us be more strong next year and beyond. So the long-term recovery is about dismantling some of these systems that really aren't working for a lot of folks and building them back better. Right, that's what we're equipped to do. And this work that comes in crisis, that's the work we do each and every day. So as you're talking about solutions, know that it's not United Way proper who has the solutions. It's United Way working with nonprofits, with government, with business, with volunteers, and listening to families and what they're going through, which allows us to curate the solutions. United Way's work is to frame issues, mobilize resources, and be accountable for the results. That's what we do. And a campaign like ours is not going to solve every problem. But what we can do is activate more people to know what the issues are, to care more deeply, and to do a little bit. And that's the whole point, is when we can all do a little, we can actually coordinate more effective response, and we can accomplish more and help more people than we could individually. And that's really, again, why I'm so grateful to each and every one of you for doing this work, because that is the work of United Way. And we need folks to really embrace that you can make a difference, we can make a difference together to be able to help every single person in our community come through this pandemic stronger, come through this racial justice movement stronger, come through this economic downturn stronger, because we need to, we have to. And every one of us caring more and participating more is what's going to make it happen. I'd love to take any questions if you've got them. You can unmute, put in the chat. Any questions at all?
Hey, Renee, I do have one. I know that some of the issues and concerns with the parents are all of a sudden putting on a teacher hat, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, what is United Way doing about some situations like that? How are we getting involved, I guess?
You bet. So I'm on a weekly call with the mayor, county executive, public health, chancellor, superintendent, and the new superintendent started joining last week. And I feel like I'm missing, UW Health Incident Command there. And we're talking a lot about that because, really two factors are coming up. So childcare while people are working, and then how to be your child's teacher successfully. So, there's a whole lot of work going on to mobilize all of the out of school time agencies. So after school programs, and then a lot of the folks who do childcare for school districts, right? So we work with all the school districts across the county, and you've got groups like, childcare providers, right? YMCA, you've got the, Red Caboose, Wisconsin Youth Company, MSCR, and many others. So really helping to help those guys knit into what school districts are doing. A lot of this work in terms of how to best support parents couldn't happen until the schools decided what was going to happen with their starts. And so now that most districts know, not all of them, but most of them know, we've been able to help support that. Now, where United Way can most directly help is in our tutoring programs. So we have Schools of Hope, elementary, middle, as well as Achievement Connections for high school. These are very effective programs that go in and work and help with literacy for elementary kids, with mentoring and self-efficacy and leadership for middle school kids, and math and critical thinking skills for high school students. And so obviously our volunteers and our volunteer coordinators through AmeriCorps cannot be in schools this fall. And so we're trying to figure out how do we help supplement tutors and parents by walking side by side with kids and being available to help provide additional school support for these kids. Also there are a lot of programs going on with the school district, and at Madison College this summer did a class on how to help support your child through virtual learning. So really just being aware of all these other supports and resources. Now I will tell you, I am most concerned about the kids who aren't even logging in to school, right? They don't have broadband access. We've done some advocacy with the state to try to get access to more broadband for our communities. We've done some work with local internet companies to be able to help provide hotspots for some of our families who don't have broadband. And we were just asked about a week and a half ago to do a large school supply drive because many of these kids don't even have school supplies in their homes. And oftentimes when they get to school, that's where those access points happen. And so those are a lot of the kinds of activities that we're doing to help make sure that we want to reach and teach every child, and we want to make sure that every kid and every parent is supported to do that. I saw a question come up in the chat: how do parents find out about these resources? You can always call 211. So parents can call and say, I don't know how to support my child in school, or I'm having trouble with internet, or I don't feel confident being my child's teacher. How do I make sure they're logging on, and how do I get a resource to help support them? Call 211 and they'll have resources available and they'll know everything. The third area I mentioned. So United Way frames issues, we mobilize resources, and we're accountable for results. So, so let's use the question that we just got, right? So how do we frame the issue? We need to know from school districts what's going on with schools. We need to know from parents what are their challenges. We need to know from employers what is their workforce going through in terms of availability to work if they've got to do virtual learning and childcare. And we have to know directly from students to say, what is my experience like, right? So United Way is always listening to all these different stakeholder groups to figure out, okay, what is everyone's experience? And then we were able to frame up the issues to say, these are the challenges people are having, not only through what they're saying, but also through the data. And then we're able to then, curate responses, right? These are the key strategies of how we're going to approach it. And that's how we mobilize. We teach the community what's going on. We teach the community how they can help with giving, advocacy, and volunteering. And then we're accountable for the results, right? Every hour of volunteerism, every dollar given, we want to be very accountable in a measurable way to report back to you the impact of that change. A lot of times people don't necessarily feel like they're hearing in real time what the impact of their gift or time is. And we're trying to really up that response. But I guarantee you everything we do at United Way is really tied to a measurable outcome, because we know that's so critically important for people to have their trust to give their time and money with and through United Way, in addition to just the love and compassion and support that we have to provide that's intangible, but that leads to those outcomes that we're looking for. Michaela, thank you. You can also text 211, and the 211 database is online. So anybody has access to that. 211 is a 24/7 information referral line. It's confidential. We have over 200 languages that you can tap into if there are folks who speak a different language. So that's helpful. Okay, another question is, how will the 2Gen approach pivot this year to help support issues related to COVID-19? So 2Gen, as you know, is really supporting caregivers and children at the same time to deal with holistic family issues. So what you've had over the history of nonprofits, right, just like your industries, we continue to evolve. So, 15 years ago, you had all the different individual agencies doing all sorts of different individual programs. With the Agenda for Change, we were able to really coalesce more collaboration. So how do the housing agencies work together so there's no wrong door for a homeless family to get stable? How do the employment agencies work together so there's a coordinated approach for who's great at trades training or who's great at customer service training? Who needs to help people up their math and literacy skills to get their GED before they can get hired, right? So coordinating those agencies to be more effective for somebody who wants to find a job who's unemployed or underemployed. How do we work together with the early childhood system to make sure that babies and parents have access to supports that get the whole family stable? So the aha in all of that curation over the last 15 years was, you can help and get a lot of great results with literacy and math, or you can help and get great results in reducing homelessness, and you can help and great results in keeping older adults stable in their homes. But unless you're doing that together at the same time with families, you don't actually move from crisis to stability, right? People can get help for what they need, but to get to what we all want, which is self-reliance, independence, you've got to really focus on that 2-gen approach with the caregiver and the child in the home together. So that's what we're moving through. The change in 2-gen strategy, that part doesn't change. What's adjusting is you have more people who, when the economy was strong, when our unemployment was super low, people could get jobs faster, you could have income faster, and you could move to self-sufficiency more quickly. We've been able to get homeless families, right? These are folks who lost their income, out of stability, independent within 12 to 18 months, and it's twice as effective and half the cost of shelter. I mean, think about that. So this is the kind of work that we can do together when we have support through United Way, through the Agenda for Change, not just to help, but to actually solve problems. So how the 2-gen changes is really just around being more nimble in what families are needing in this moment, as well as trying to activate more resources, knowing that not every job is online right now, knowing that incomes are strained, and frankly, there are more people who need help right now. Time for one more question. Okay, as an ECM, this year's campaign will be very different, lacking the in-person rallying that we have leveraged in the past and shifting to a virtual campaign. What might be your top suggestion on how to shift the management of company campaigns to continue campaign success in a time that we need it more than ever? Thank you, Emily, for that question. I think I see opportunities, right? And in this virtual campaign, if you can slot the United Way message into your staff meetings, you don't have a big United Way event to invite everybody to that's offline, right? Put a small 5-10-minute agenda item in every departmental meeting or in your all staff meeting and really use that very brief time to activate, educate, inspire more people. So we think that, that in-person rally is so much fun. People use the United Way campaign to help with their employee engagement, to bring teams closer together, just to have that little bit of juice in the workday. And because we aren't able to do that in person, we want to figure out a way to do that virtually. And because we are needed more than ever, we think that you've got the chance to help inspire all employees. And maybe the person that wouldn't come to an in-person rally will be there in a staff meeting to hear, this is a way that I can make a difference. I know that I've got stress in my life. I've got a lot going on. I'm worried about my own personal budget, but I have a job. I have health insurance. I can really see the pain that's going on around me. And if I can do a little bit, and if I know my across the Zoom square or across the cubicle mate can do a little bit too, then all of us can really invest in our community, invest in families, and we can be a part of the solution. So that's what I would suggest is, don't look at this as a, as a missed opportunity, right? Look for the new opportunities. Let's innovate and inspire and activate more people because we surely could use the help. And we thank you so much for your leadership. And again, I can't express how important your role is. And as a volunteer with United Way, through your company's campaign, we need you to help us educate and activate more people because this is about our quality of life. This is about how we are connected together. And we know when our neighbors do better, all of us do better. So thank you so much. And that's what we need when we say the power of many working for all. And you guys certainly are the power of many. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Renee, for your time, insight, and thoughtful explanation of all these complex issues. So obviously things are going to look a bit different this year, starting with one of the best ways to spread the word and educate our colleagues about the community, the United Way kickoff. So without further ado, here's one example of what a kickoff could look like in a virtual environment.
There's a strength that holds us together. That strength is community. It's measured in how completely we see our neighbors' struggles, in how thoughtfully we share our support. And it has never mattered more. Because when we can meet struggle with strength, there's nothing we can't make it through. At United Way, we bring the community together in strength through the power of many, working for all. Please donate today at unitedway-danecounty.org.
Well, hey there, all you awesome Stark Industry employees. It's your fearless leader, President, CEO, Tony Stark here. Wish I could be there with all of you, virtually that is. But the whole saving the world thing takes a little bit of my time. Anyway, I was able to record this little video to tell you how important the United Way campaign is this year. As you know, Stark Industry values innovation, dedication, and making the world a better place. And that's why we've partnered with United Way of Dane County to raise money to help those who need it most. Take it from a tech genius. Coming together is the smartest way to tackle our community's biggest obstacles. Stark Industries will even match $1,000 for every $1 you donate. So be generous. Learn and care about our neighbors, and together, let's make Dane County more awesome. Thanks. Got a jet.
Hi, thank you so much for being here. I love our community because of its caring, compassion, and generosity. And now, more than ever, we need to band together so we come out stronger through this pandemic, through this economic downturn, and through this racial unrest. When all of us can do a little bit, we can really amplify that generosity to be able to create some solutions and move forward together. That's what we mean when we say the power of many working for all. Thank you for your generosity.
I'm Paul Kunert, and I'm volunteering as chair of this year's United Way Community Campaign. As a community, these are some of the most difficult times we've ever faced, and the needs have never been greater. I've spent my whole career in the money business, and I trust the United Way of Dane County to manage the money we donate to do the most good right here in our local communities. The unique and important thing about United Way of Dane County is the way they leverage volunteers and funding to deeply examine and respond to the challenges in our community. The problems we face are complex and systemic. United Way brings together all parties to develop solutions that coordinate resources and meet the complex needs people face in the areas of income, education, and health, so that families can move out of poverty. I don't think any of us will ever forget this season we're living through. Let's remember it not only as a time of tremendous difficulty, but as a time of great generosity and compassion for everyone in our community. Please join me in giving through your workplace donation or pledge. Thank you.
Thank you to United Way of Dane County and the Higher Education Improvement Initiative to make this possible.
We're just so thankful for United Way and for all of their support, and we're really also thankful of how much they're just coming together to really help the entire community during this time.
Because of your support of United Way, we here at Centro are able to ensure that our youth continue dreaming, that their families feel that they're strengthened with career opportunities, and with the support that they truly need to thrive, and that our neighborhoods are vibrant.
Right. Hello, Stark Industries. My name is Nikki Davis, and I am your 2020 United Way Loan Executive, generously sponsored by J.H. Findorf & Son Incorporated and State Bank of Cross Plains. Are you guys all able to see my screen today? Hopefully that's a yes. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your day for yet another Zoom call. Is anybody else getting really sick of these already? And thanks to Tony for joining us today, however virtually he could. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank you so much for your continued support of United Way. Last year alone, this team raised over $21,000, which United Way put to work in the community. The money you raised was enough to help 24 older adults stay safe in their homes. Your dollars helped to prevent 14 families from being evicted. And your dollars helped to sponsor over 2,000 minutes of calls to United Way's 211 helpline. Thank you all so much. Let's give yourselves a hand. You did a great job. So it's that last stat that I'd really like to focus on today, that 211 stat, because your generosity helped me personally. Do you guys all know what 211 is? Have you heard of it? Have you called it? So 211 is United Way's support line. It connects anybody who calls with assistance from a variety of social service organizations in Dane County and beyond. Here's kind of an example that I wanted to share with you today.
Thanks for calling United Way's 211. This is Mona. How can I help you?
Hi, I need to file an appeal for unemployment.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't get accepted or anything, but I don't know how this works. So I've never done this before, but I'm basically like freaking out because I can't afford to feed my kids right now. So, yeah.
Okay, sure. So what I can do is sign you up for the Unemployment Appeals Clinic. It looks like there is one opening left this coming Monday. Would you like to take that?
Yeah. Is it over the phone?
It is over the phone. Sometimes it's been in person in the past, but it's over the phone.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Okay, so looks like they're going to call you Monday at 6 p.m. Make sure you have everything related to your case on hand, and then they'll help you prepare for your appeal hearing.
Okay.
Okay, so they'll explain the process, what that looks like, and in some instances, they'll attend that hearing with you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Are you okay on everything else? You mentioned having a hard time with food. Would you like some information on food share or food pantries?
Well, I have food stamps, and I'm on Badger Care, but I could use some help with like other food. Also, my electricity is about to get shut off, so that's insane. It's like everything is just happening all at once. I don't know what to do. I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm so upset. It's just really difficult.
It's okay. It's okay. So, well, I'd say there's a place called Energy Services that can oftentimes help with utility bills. Have you ever connected with them?
No, I haven't.
Okay. All right. So give them a call for sure. Their number is 608-333-0333.
Okay.
Okay, and there's another place. It's called the DIGS program, and they can help with utilities. They take calls on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8:30 until 9 a.m., and their number is 608-252-8522. So just a half hour in the morning. There are also some specific resources for folks having a hard time due to COVID-19. So if you have access to texting, I can text you those resources, and some of those are web-based. Do you also maybe need help with rent?
Yeah, well, yeah, the texting thing would be great, and I think I'm okay on rent for now.
Okay. All right. Well, as for food, have you ever used the River Food Pantry? It looks like they're in your area.
Yeah, I used to volunteer there.
Oh, cool. Okay, well, they've actually changed their hours probably since you've been there. So they're now open Tuesday through Friday from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m.
Okay.
All right, and it's drive up, so you won't have to even go in the building.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, so we're also available 24/7. So if you needed other food pantry options, or if you do find you need help on your rent, or really just anything else, call us back and we're happy to tell you what's available.
Okay. That's so nice. Thank you.
All right. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
So as you can see, 211 is a lot more than just a simple hotline. 211 was actually started in Dane County, and it has since spread to 211 Wisconsin. So it's available in all 72 counties of Wisconsin, and it's available in over 200 languages. So it's more than just that directory, that hotline you can see. It's a place where anybody can get the assistance and the guidance that they need in this judgment-free zone. So they have all these different services. You can give them a call, you can text them, you can just chat, look it up online. It's very accessible to anybody who could need it. And that's why I gave them a call myself back in March. At the time, I was a teacher who was working in an early childhood education center. And when COVID hit, we immediately lost half of our students who stayed home with their mom and dad. So when we had that all happen, our director felt really uncomfortable charging tuition to parents whose students weren't even in school. So she had to make some really, really tough decisions. And suddenly I found myself furloughed with no paycheck and no safety net, because all of my savings were going to a wedding that I was planning that had to get postponed. So for the first time in my life, I found myself applying for unemployment, which at its best is a confusing, absolute beast of a system. My first claim was immediately denied with no explanation, just a letter in the mail with a curt, very formal apology. So naturally, first I panicked, because that's what you do, and then I called 211. And with their help, I worked out the method for submitting my weekly claims, and I even managed to reclaim the denied benefits from the previous week. I made it back to work about a month later, and now I find myself here presenting to you. I'm one of the lucky ones, not just because of my circumstances, but because people like you were looking out for me, someone you didn't even really know. You didn't know. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you so much for your donations and your participation. So are you ready to do it again? I know times are really tough right now, and we're all finding ourselves in a completely unknown situation. But even a donation as small as $5 a paycheck, the equivalent of that cup of coffee that we're all needing gallons of right now to survive this virtual environment, can literally change lives. That equivalent of $5 a paycheck will provide 5 hours of housing case management to families who are experiencing homelessness, who are trying to get into an affordable system, who are trying to access food and resources to take care of their children. So join me, Pepper, and Tony. Together, you, me, Stark Industries, and the United Way of Dane County can make a profound impact on our community. Together, we are the power of many, working for all. Pepper will be sending you a pledge form if she hasn't already, so please don't hesitate to reach out to either of us if there are any questions. And thank you so much. Let's do this.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nikki. So Nikki and all the other LEs are equipped to present with slides, stories, videos. Many of the materials in Nikki's presentation are available on the campaign toolkit, including that 2-on-1 call and the intro campaign video that can actually be customized with an endorsement from your own company leadership. If you don't have time for another Zoom call, we can give you that video and you can give it to your managers or team leads and they can play it at an existing team meeting.
Awesome. Welcome back, everybody. Hopefully you were able to get some coffee, take a little bit of break. I did share in the chat that we have the link to the campaign toolkit that we'll be going over next that Steve just mentioned. So feel free to go ahead and get that pulled up. And then I'm going to go ahead and share my screen in a minute so we can go over some of the tools we have. So first thing I want to know is how many of you ECMs or employee campaign managers have been an employee campaign manager in the past? If you guys want to go ahead and raise your hands, you can either use the virtual one or just wave your hand in the air. How many previous experienced? Few out there? Okay, awesome. So many of you guys might remember we had that 27-page document that was the campaign team guide in the past. So this year what we did is we took that guide that has all the information that helped to run a campaign and we put it into a really simple website and toolkit for you guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen with you guys and go over some of those tools. Awesome, and you should be able to now see our website. So this is the first thing we want to do is show you where you can get it. So I did share it with you guys and we'll send it in the follow-up email as well. But if you're on our website, if you go to get involved and for companies, it's going to take you to our company page. The first one here is the campaign toolkit. So go ahead and click on that and it takes you to this page. And we've simplified it in 2 sections. So one is the campaign team guide that really gives you the step-by-step instruction on how to run your campaign. And then the second one is all those tools, resources, and materials that we have created for you this year. A lot of these tools are actually linked in the campaign team guide. So the first thing we're going to do is start in that first session. So when you click into this, you get the guide. What we've done is we've created, taken all the different steps and everything that to run a campaign and simplified it down to 9 steps. So here, get to know United Way, recruit your campaign team. One of the steps in here is to register and attend the Think Tank. So congratulations to all of you guys, that one step is already complete. The other thing that we did is we created a fillable campaign team guide that you can go and use while you're going through the first 4 steps. And this is where you can start writing down who your campaign team is when you're talking about your goal, and then some of the logistics and activities that you have. So what we wanted to do is give you just kind of a little bit of an overview on 2 things. We get a lot of questions about, with it being virtual this year, how are we going to raise money? How are we going to make it easy for our employees? So we have two tips that we're going to share with you really quick on that will help you with planning your logistics. So the first one is going to be our new ePledge site. So finance has worked a lot of, spent a lot of time on this to simplify the ePledge system, as well as give you a lot of information for the background. I'm going to go ahead and play this video explaining our new ePledge.
Thank you for your interest in using ePledge for your United Way campaign. Our ePledge tool makes it easy to invest in our community through a flexible online platform. Our donor portal will be accessible to your employees through a link provided to them. When donors get to the site, they are greeted and given 8 pledging options. I will demonstrate with the payroll deduction option. When the donor chooses payroll deduction, they will be given annual investment amount options of $100, $365, $1,200, and $3,600. The donor can also opt to enter a different amount in the other box. Below, the donor will see how much is deducted per pay period based off their annual investment amount and number of deductions they choose. The Employee Campaign Manager will be able to choose what deductions are available to employees during their setup.
Donors who do not designate would only need to click 3 times to complete their pledge. They would choose their payment method, select their annual investment amount, and submit their pledge. There are options for donors to direct their gift to a United Way focus area, partner, or other charity through optional directed giving.
To do so, they will pop the section out. For focus areas, the donor would put the amount they want directed to an area or areas. For a partner agency, the donor would search by keyword and then add the amount in that they want to direct to that agency. For other charity, the donor would click on the Other Charity button and will be required to add the amount to direct and the charity name and to click Add. The donor can select the acknowledgement box to release their address to their designated charities. To complete their investment, the donor would add or update their contact information and check any of these boxes that apply. The donor will then click Submit My Pledge to invest. The donor will be taken to a confirmation page where they can see a summary of their investment. The donor will also get confirmation via email. ePledge administrators will be able to access the administrator portal. Here you will have steps to set up your campaign, submit files, the ability to manage employees by updating, removing, or adding them to the system, and also to get help. There's also campaign reporting that gives you the most up-to-date status of your campaign, which considers any submitted ePledge transactions and paper pledges processed by United Way of Dane County. 2 campaign reports worth noting are the All Pledge Detail Report and the Payroll Report. With the All Pledge Detail Report, you can get a complete list of pledges to date. The payroll report contains only payroll deduction pledges and can be submitted at the end of your campaign to your payroll department to easily set up the withholdings. These reports are created in CSV format, making them easy to export, import, sort, and filter. To run the reports, click on the bubble next to the report you want and scroll down and click Submit. The page will refresh and then you will scroll down to My Outputs, click on the link in the Names column. The report will download to your computer. To return to the Administrator Portal homepage, click on Home in the menu, where you will find all the other tools you need to manage your campaign. If you're interested in using ePledge, go to unitedway.danecounty.org/ePledge to sign up. There you'll see a button that says Sign Up for ePledge. And you can also learn more about ePledge through our webpage.
Awesome. So we just want to give a really big round of applause to finance for making that super simple for our donors, your employees, and then also you so that you can track that information. So again, if you want to sign up for it, you'll go to our ePledge place, fill out the survey, and then they'll get in contact with you. So then the other thing that we wanted to share, we've gotten a lot of questions about how you can run special events and get money. So we've created a mobile cost site. This can be done in a text to give. It can be an email with a link, or we can also even do the QR codes and send those to you directly. And what we have it set up for is specific amounts. A donor would fill out their information, select the company that you're with, and then you can also track it by the event that you're doing. So you can use this for multiple different ones. Similar to the ePledge, will generate reports for you, and so that you have all of your employees' giving history, and you can track it that way as well. So if you want to sign up for this and get more information on the mobile cause, contact anybody at United Way and we'll get you set up. So now I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we're going to go into breakout rooms. And what you're going to do is meet with your loan executives. Using that fillable campaign guide, you're going to go ahead and start planning your campaign. Awesome. It looks like everybody's back. It sounds like you guys had some great conversations using the campaign team guide we sent you. So does anybody want to share out what you learned or what you guys talked about in your groups? Feel free to use the chat or unmute yourselves.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about some different virtual options we have this year. Time was a little limited, so we didn't dive too deep into them, but just some different ideas around how we can motivate people, like a company match or things like that. We also looked into the campaign tools kit and found the special events guide. There were some things that we didn't touch on there, like the talent show or, like a company quiz, which I thought was an awesome idea. But maybe, yeah, these ideas can definitely be thrown around. And the one thing that I did want to mention too is revisiting whatever you did last year and see how you can maybe change that to fit a virtual world.
That's great. Anybody else come up with some new things?
In our group, we kind of just talked about how to avoid that awkward silence or kind of fill that space with maybe music or some sort of background noise, because there's a lot of times where people are like, is it my turn to talk? Should I wait? Like, you don't really know when to turn your mic on. So just different ways that you can get around that awkwardness and keep it engaging and exciting.
Exactly. If you see me sitting here awkwardly, we always talk about like the 10 seconds of awkward silence to let people talk. It's great to use that. It's hard as a facilitator.
Forgot to, we also touched on the impact of the 211 call. So it sounds like some people wanted to use that as well. And we touched on the 211 slide. It's a little busy, but maybe picking a couple of different things to just give examples of what 211 can do.
We also talked about the 211 call, and that was a good interest. Also, where your money is going, what your funds could cover. Like we talked about last year's funds and the slide that Nikki used for $5 for a cup of coffee that could pay for this. And there was some interest in that as well.
Had a good conversation starting at the end just about, is now the right time to make an ask, and how we need to be both empathetic and make sure we're approaching all of our asks with resources for those folks that are struggling, but also not to assume that just because times are uncertain that they would be unwilling to help out.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, feel free to keep sharing them in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to turn it over to Vic and Casey to introduce the next section.
Actually, real quick, sorry, Vic and Casey, before we go there, it's another fun experience for you to go through. I'm actually going to turn it over to Zach. We're going to talk about how to help build empathy in this section. And he's going to introduce you to how community events are changing this year.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. This is just a couple minutes, so Vic and Casey, it's not too long of a delay, but we wanted everyone to know, especially with questions that came right at the beginning of this gathering about specifically community kickoff. For those of you who are returning or who are aware, we have traditionally had a really large gathering. For the past few years, it's been at the Mallard Duck Pond, basically hundreds of people gathering together, talking, hugging, shaking hands, volunteering together, everything we absolutely cannot do at this time. But we are trying to sort of keep that spirit of community and kick off the best way that we can. So we have modified that kickoff that used to be such an intense few hours at the Duck Pond and sort of spread it out. So we do have, for the months of August all the way through the end of the year, so August, September, October, November, December, ways that companies can both, in addition to give and do the employee campaigns that you guys are all organizing, there are opportunities each month that exist to learn through a webinar series, whether it's about, or the August one coming up is going to be about, thank you, Steve, for sharing the webpage. Yep, and this link will probably come out in the follow-up too, but you can see the August 2020 is highlighted. It's always easy to give and it's always important, but there's ways to advocate and learn through these Working for All webinars. The first one is about community response to coronavirus, as well as social justice and racial disparities. And then there are ways right now to sign up as an individual or as a small team of 8 people or less for vetted, helpful, impactful volunteer opportunities that are all, well, they're all remote. Most of them are sort of outdoors and easy to volunteer in a safe way. But then as you scroll down this website, if Steve could do that, you can see some really great stories about how United Way has supported different organizations through the crisis. And just below that, you can sort of see the plan for each month. So as you all are planning your individual workplace events, you can see September, October, November, December, there's opportunities to volunteer, and there's opportunities to learn, whether it's about education, the financial disparities, health, just general community well-being. There's something each month. So we're hoping that these are effectively sort of plug and play opportunities where you don't have to plan anything. You just have to let people know when they are and make the time available. And then it's also a reminder that next March is our community celebration, and who knows, maybe we'll be able to do that together in person, but otherwise just know that that's when we're going to be celebrating all the great accomplishments and achievements that we know are coming up in just a few weeks. Any questions on that? Just a quick overview, but I would encourage you to talk with your LE, your staff person, and dig into that website a little more too.
Hey, Zach, I just got the question if the engagements that our group had talked about, or some of the ideas that people had as far as keeping people engaged over a virtual environment, will be available somewhere for everyone else to see. If that's going to be on the website, if I should just share that with the loaned executives to pass along. What do you think?
Yeah, probably both. I think like it would be best for LEs to push that out, loan executives to push that out to ECMs. There are in the campaign toolkit that I know Haley mentioned, there are a lot of those. And the idea is sort of for everything to be self-service, but just know that your loan executive or any staff person at United Way is happy to help you. We know your full-time job is not this, and we want to make it as simple as possible.
Perfect, and I think that was a great segue here because on top of the webinars and volunteer events that Zach just touched on, we do have several other of those facilitated engagements that your loan executive can help you put on. So much like that warm-up conversation that we had this morning about community issues and some of the solutions, that's just one of the one of several that we have. So I am gonna share my screen. Hopefully it works. All right, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So, so yeah, this is going to be, you may have seen this when you were just talking with your team there, but once you're on that company page, if you go to the campaign toolkit and then scroll down to all of the resources and go to the campaign tools and materials, there is going to be a section in the middle of the page with all of those engagements and the facilitation guides. So we also have a poverty simulation that can be done as an individual or in a small group. And then there's also an experience that asks you to take a walk in the shoes of some of your neighbors in need.
Yeah, in our next breakout session, we're actually going to go through this activity. When you first go into your groups, we're going to start by talking about coronavirus and how it's affected your life. So Haley, if you can break everyone out to the groups.
Using the facilitation guide found on our campaign tools site, each person was assigned one of the personas from the step number 2 and then given a chance to talk about how coronavirus may have impacted them. In a minute, you'll hear some of the outcomes from this engagement.
And we're back. So I guess I wanted to say that these aren't just hypothetical situations, right? These are real people and real calls to 211 that 211 receives every day. So 211 is a call resource that anyone can reach out to 24/7 to get connected with resources, with food assistance, help paying bills, housing assistance, community, clinics, and many other services. So the one thing I did want to say is while coronavirus has affected all of us, it also has affected the families and individuals that United Way programs are investing in. And I really believe that this is why this year's campaign is so important. So we do have a short clip, a video clip that touches on how our neighbors in need have been affected. And Steve is going to play this for us right now.
There's a startling new report from the United Way of Dane County that says that 30% of all households in the county were struggling to make ends meet even before this pandemic began back in March.
Yeah, the report is called ALICE, which stands for Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed. NBC 15's Amelia Jones joins us live. Amelia, you spoke to a woman who falls into that ALICE category, and she shared her story with you.
Tim, Isabel, out of that 30% of households in Dane County, 19% of them are categorized as ALICE, which means that these people are making an income that's above the federal poverty level, but they're still not able to get basic necessities like housing, food, and childcare. The woman that I spoke to, she lives here in Dane County, and she told me that she works 2 jobs, and she still struggles to provide for her young son while paying all of her bills. She said that she utilizes the United Way resources, especially the 211 line that provides help with financial assistance, food resources, housing, healthcare, and mental health services. She said when it comes to how the community can help, she said that it starts with people putting themselves in her shoes.
We're not lazy. We're hardworking individuals that deserve to have a better quality of life. Just taking consideration that we are human. It's not easy, and we're not asking for a handout. We're just asking for support.
The ALICE report also details that statewide, 11% of households fall under the federal poverty level, and 23% of those households can be categorized as ALICE, which equals about 812,000 households that were struggling to make ends meet before COVID-19 hit. When I spoke to United Way, they said that they expect the number to only increase as they do the report again for next year, as COVID-19 will be a major factor. If you would like to help people like Josie, you can do so by donating to the United Way website to help them continue to provide their resources. We have a link to that on our website, NBC15.com. Reporting live in the newsroom, Amelia Jones, NBC 15 News.
Do you guys have any thoughts about the experience you went through in that breakout session?
I think this is Jodelle Connie. I was just thinking that it kind of makes you empathetic for the people that United Way helps, that you can kind of put yourselves in their shoes and walk in them for a short time and see what their needs are and how it might affect you. There's so many unexpected things that can happen that can throw you into a situation where you find yourself unexpectedly needing assistance. And, you know, we can all get in that situation very easily.
I would agree. I think it's a good reminder that things can change unexpectedly in your life very quickly and very unexpectedly. Nobody deserves that. I know when this first came out, they were indicating that, you know, most of the population doesn't have like a reserve account, you know, extra money like we're all told we're supposed to. Not very many have that or even have the capability of doing that if they wanted to. So I think it, you know, again, for me, it was just a good reminder that it, you know, it could be any one of us, it could be at any time. And it's just a reminder to be really appreciative when, you know, the positives are going in the positive direction.
I know I've experienced this myself, and I've seen it with other people. And it is a good reminder to stop and think about other people's situations. And that's something, like even our group, it's like thinking about the elderly. And I'm like, well, yeah, I am, I know. But then like you really try to expound upon it and really think about all the possible struggles through, and it can just keep adding up. And you're like, and I think it's really good to try to expound upon just more than like, well, they're having a tough time. It's like, no, really, what kind of a tough time? What are more of their needs that we need to be addressing? And so many of us can get wrapped up in our own heads of like, oh my gosh, my to-do list and my stress. But yeah, just take a moment and really think about what somebody else is struggling through. It's good.
I was thinking about, oops, I'm sorry, I was thinking about the elderly too, because at the beginning of the epidemic, I would go online, I'd order groceries, they'd be delivered. Then I finally went to the point where I would go and they'd put them in my trunk. But you know, elderly people don't have computers. They don't know how to do that. They don't know how to go online and order their groceries and do those sorts of things. So really I think it must be so frustrating to be isolated alone in your home with no way to really reach out to get help if you don't have family in your community.
I'd like to add to that, my mother has dementia, and in March, she was in assisted living. All of a sudden, nobody can go see her. The dining room is closed, so she's in her apartment all the time. And now she declined so badly and so rapidly, we had to move her to memory care. And it's very difficult for her to understand what's going on.
Yeah, this is Claude. My sister had been very, very ill in South Carolina, and she was in a North Carolina hospital for 2 months. She was really sick. Couldn't visit her except maybe one person, and in a rehab facility, no one could visit her at all unless once her care had gotten less critical. It's hard. So we did a little video chats, but just think about the isolation of elders having. You can't see your family. You can't do those things that you normally do. And I think it's hard. It's hard for all of us, especially for people who can't get around, don't have the transportation, don't have the communication devices we do. A lot of assumptions are made about what we have and what others don't have.
I also think how inspiring was that 211 call, right? So imagine after coronavirus, how the calls were just flooded. Everyone needs those resources but can't really get to them, you know. So I think in the end it shows that how all we have is really each other, right? You know, and that's a way to inspire and give back. So I would definitely share your stories when kicking off and with your teams.
Another thing that we just mentioned in our group that I wanted to share for everybody else, because I thought that it was pretty cool. They mentioned that the elderly homes or the senior homes were actually accepting pen pals. And we talked about how that could be a potential way to connect your neighbors with the elderly people and the people who don't know how to use technology or don't want to learn how to use technology for whatever reason. Like a written letter goes such a long way, and I've been using it to connect to my family, and I didn't even think of it as a resource to connect to other people who might need my help. And I'm obviously able to do those things. So that was really cool.
Thank you all so much for participating in that activity. Andrea said it really well. We've got so much stuff going on in our own lives, checklists, and have been affected by this as well. The United Way campaign is really that chance for people to hit that reset button, take a step back, and think about the community at large. So that's the service that you all are providing to your employees, is that desire to help others with an easy, tangible way to do so and impact our neighbors' lives. So think about that as you're planning your campaign. Maybe you can use that activity or something similar to help evoke some of that empathy. We're gonna switch gears a little bit here and start talking about how to engage employees. So next I'd like to introduce Michaela Powers, the program manager for Lead United.
Thanks, Steve. Awesome session to walk into and hear about. Like Steve said, my name is Michaela Powers, and I'm the program manager for Lead United, something you may have heard about, or maybe that is the first time you're hearing about it. So I'm going to take some time today to dive into what Lead United is and what led up to the change. And the involvement of Lead United in the campaign. I only have about 10 minutes here, so I will not be able to cover everything, and that's okay. We have a lot of great information on our website, social medias, and we even have a platform where you can submit questions. So don't feel like this is all the information out there. We definitely can expand on all these things, and really ask your LE to expand if that's something you would like to engage your employees with. So I'm going to share my screen here. All right. All right, awesome. I am sharing. So, oops, sorry guys. All right, so Lead United. So Lead United really was built on the foundation of Rosenberry Society and Key Club. So if you guys are familiar, those were both groups that were looking to engage our donors and bring new donors into United Way. And we actually merged both of those volunteer councils into one group. And now we have kind of one goal and one mission, and that really is to deepen the connection with our donors to the work and really make sure that they understand the impact of their dollars. So when you're thinking about your campaign and people that are able to donate, Lead United is a great group to get connected with that is going to show them their impact of their dollars and really bring them into a network where they can all mingle together to see their impact of their dollars. So some changes that went on is we have a more simplified structure and clarified purpose, a lot of the things I just touched on. Another kind of newer thing, and I wouldn't say it's new to fundraising or United Way, but we're really leveraging the lessons that are learned in philanthropy about peer-to-peer connection. So how do we connect with our donors one-on-one? We actually within Lead United have a group of our volunteers that are doing one-to-one outreach to some of the Lead United donors to be able to deepen their understanding of the work and dive deeper into their interest levels. And then, of course, the more compelling, less duplicative events. So as you guys remember with Rosenberry and Key Club, both of them put on some awesome events that had great turnout and that were a lot of fun and educational. So we are still doing events, obviously in the virtual world that looks a little different this year. We're just doing less of them to be able to make a bigger impact at those events and bring more people to the table at those events. A couple things to know about Lead United is the entry level point is $365. So that's $1 a day if you break it down. And then the other two levels are $1,200 and $3,600. What those levels mean as far as to you guys are, these are just easy breakdowns of $1 a day, $100 a month, $300 a month. Within each level, there will be perks for each donor that correlate with those. But right now, we're still working on building those out. As you can see in the right-hand side here, this is just a couple examples of if you are giving at that level, the impact that those dollars potentially could have. And I do have more of these, and the loaned executives also will have access to these to be able to use them as talking points and kind of inspire your employees to give. Some tools that we have out there that you're able to connect with and also promote to your employees. We have an Instagram account. So I will send out all the links, or I'll have our team send out all the links to these, but I wanted to just give you a quick visual of what those look like. So we have an Instagram account. You can find it by just searching Lead United Dane County. Feel free to do that as I'm kind of talking through these things on your cell phone if you would like. Just go ahead and go on there and give our page a like. The next thing we have is a Facebook group. So this is a networking group of Lead United members. I will put the link in the chat once I'm done here. I do believe it's kind of difficult to find. So I'll put the link in the chat and feel free to click on it and come join our group on Facebook as well. And then the other thing, like I touched on, is we do have a feedback form that is public to anyone and everyone. So previous Rosenberry members, you as ECMs, loaned executives, our staff use it, our volunteer council use it. It's a form where you can, and this doesn't show all the questions here, but where you can submit your ideas, your questions, your comments, and then either myself or somebody from our Lead United Council will follow up with you. So I really want to encourage all of you within this group to send your ideas, questions, comments, that kind of thing. Dive deeper into why the change happened if needed. I'm happy to answer any of those. And this form is a great way to have your voice be heard about Lead United. The other thing here, and I will check in with Steve, we do have a short video from our council of why they are part of Lead United and really why they love and support United Way of Dane County. So Steve, I know I kind of went through a lot of that pretty rapidly, but I'm also a talker. So do I have time to show the video, or should we send that in a link?
Go ahead and share.
Awesome. Okay, guys. So I am going to unshare and then reshare my screen so that we can hear the video. While I'm doing this, feel free to pop some questions into the chat. If I can get to them, I will live here, but if not, I definitely will follow up via email with you guys as well. All right, there we go. So hopefully you all can see that. I'm gonna go ahead and just play this quick 1.5-minute video for you guys.
I support the United Way because I want to be part of the community and want to make a difference.
I believe by investing in your community, you can make real and measurable change.
They've always been very transparent about where my donation dollars are going.
I love hearing the stories of the difference United Way makes in lives each and every day.
More than ever, our communities are hurting in different ways, and we need to pull together to make that difference.
Now more than ever, it makes sense for the leadership giving groups of Rosenberry and Key Club to merge together as one to truly have the power of many working for all.
I joined Lead United to connect with other leaders in our community who share the same passion and drive as I do to make our community a better place.
Lead United helps make a difference beyond your donation because it connects you to the community and you're able to learn, grow, and listen to really help create change.
Having just moved to Madison, Wisconsin, it was really important for me to become involved in the new community that I was becoming a part of.
I've stretched my skills as a leader and I've built lasting relationship with other leaders in the community.
Through educational programming events, tours, and volunteer opportunities, Lead United dives deeper into United Way's agenda for change and how each and every one of us can make a difference.
It really helps me raise awareness on just how your dollars are allocated to important community initiatives.
We look forward to having you as part of Lead United and are excited to launch this new brand for United Way.
Alrighty, guys. So as you can see, there is great volunteers that built up Lead United for our donors of United Way of Dane County. Again, feel free to put your questions in the chat, but resources will be sent out with links and that kind of thing and how to further promote it to your companies. Feel free to use that form to submit questions and lean on your loan executive to build out your strategy on how you can promote Lead United within your campaign. I'm just gonna go over quick to the chat here. I did see a question come in. So what percent, again, that goes towards administration and or other non-donation costs within United Way? So 86-14, 86% directly goes back into the community. That 14% goes into not only, like you mentioned, the administrative cost of United Way, but really taking the time to unite the community and pull together a lot of those volunteer groups that help us make decisions for the community. So absolutely that 14% is for keeping the lights on, but also the power to bring everyone together as well. So I am going to turn it back over to Steve. Thank you guys so much for your time today, and you all have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Michaela. So I'm going to go ahead and share with you guys the last piece of it. So thanks for sitting with us for 2.5 hours. We're going to jump right into the Put the Fun in Fundraising. So at the beginning, you guys all shared your favorite part of your campaigns. We also heard a lot of conversations about getting into some of those activities during the other breakouts. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you quick. Okay, so on the same campaign team guide that we have shown you all, we have plan your activities. So if you go into this, we have a lot of resources. So we have some signature or like United Way special events that we're really proud of and really excited for you guys to do. All of these can be done virtually or in person. So one of the main things that we've done is created a virtual trivia. It's something that you guys can host or we can host it for you. So we'd love for you to join us with that. You can request the information, but it's a very fun hour-long activity. Our loan executives have also already gone through it, so feel free in your breakouts to ask them their experience with it. We've also heard a lot of positivity around a bingo event. So we've had this both optional donations as well as just for fun. We have a bunch of bingo cards that we can send you the PDFs to if it makes it easier for you. Some people do it as an event. Other people do it as more of like throughout their campaign. So sending like one bingo number every few hours during a week of your campaign. So we have great ideas around that. We'd love to share with you. Another really fun one this year has been a virtual 5K. So with this, we really encourage you to use education as part of it. So talk about health and the impacts of health in our community and what United Way is doing it. And then encourage people to sign up to run and walk. And we always tell people to use selfies and share to really encourage people to join and participate. One that's always been popular, whether it's in person or virtual, is silent auctions. We've been using the 32 auction site, so it's linked right here. You guys can use it. And then we've also been trying to find more ways that you can do virtual activities. So like virtual coffee with your CEOs, paint night, cooking classes, things like that. If you guys have any ideas, please share them with us. We're really trying to add to this list so you guys have great ideas going forward. And then the last one we have is our Bucky Book. So this is a way that you can offer this opportunity out to your employees. For every book that's sold, United Way gets $12 back. So that's a great way. So again, we're going to dive into planning out some of your special events. So feel free to look into these. The other thing is we have our guide. It's here as well as in the other resources. And this just has some more optional things that you can do virtually or in person. So in a minute, we're going to do breakouts again. So go ahead, start looking through this, figuring out ideas, and really bounce ideas back and forth between you guys. The biggest thing we want to do is help you increase the education as part of your virtual events. Everybody always loves doing it, but now if we can get some education out in the community, we'd love that. We have a lot of different tools that we can help to tie that education back. So like for instance, a $5 donation is equivalent of 20 minutes of academic tutoring in Dane County. So here at United Way, we can help you guys create those kind of things. So you guys are gonna have 20 minutes to go ahead and work in your groups and start talking about special events.
All right, well, we brought you back a little bit early because we wanted to hear the best ideas that came out of your breakout sessions. So we'd love to hear some of those awesome ones that could probably be applied to other workplaces as well.
All right. Go ahead.
Hey there. I wanted Emily from the credit union talk about her Masked Singer. Would you, Emily?
Of course, I would be happy to. Can you guys hear me? Yes, okay, I see some nods. So at UW Credit Union, our ECMs are planning a Masked Singer event. So what we're doing is we are asking employees in all different departments in the credit union to submit videos with some costume, a mask, something covering their identity. And they will be either lip syncing or singing to one of their favorite songs, if it's work appropriate, of course. And they will submit videos, and then the rest of our employees will watch the video and then make a donation to guess who the employee is. And then there is going to be some incentive or prizes given away for correct guesses. So that is one of our totally virtual online events that we think is going to be really exciting and successful this year.
That's awesome. Steve, I volunteered you to do a puppet show. So just so you know.
So my team and I actually put on a sock. We made socks with our like people's faces on it, and then we auctioned them off, and it became like such a big thing. Like I thought we paid like $10 for each pair, but I guess it was 20. But we ended up raising like $3,000 off of it because yeah, people got really intense. I actually have a picture of one of them that I can share. So that's our CEO and our president on a pair of socks. We did it around Valentine's Day. And so we didn't take their headshots because that's too serious. So we found like different pictures of them. It got to the point where like family members were calling and emailing us and like wanting to place a bid on like a wife bid like $400 on her husband's socks because she wanted them so bad. So that was like a super easy, that's kind of what was going on in the chat. We were talking about that. It was a super easy way to raise a lot of money. We did some leadership, but then we also included just like some people that like are like have been at M3 for a long time and know a lot of different people, so that it would like kind of get everybody involved. And we did somebody from each department. So departments were like encouraged to donate. So yeah, it was super funny, and honestly we had no idea it would turn out to be as big as it was, but like now we think we're going to probably do another round of it just because we only ordered one pair of each sock.
So did you have somebody bake those, Alexis, or how did you get those?
Yeah, so we ordered them through Etsy, and then they asked us for pictures, and so we went through like past like the volleyball tournament photos from last year and just found like funny ones of people. Like one of them, he's wearing like giant glasses in it. Actually, his wife paid a lot of money for those. So it's super easy. I mean, we didn't really have to do much. The bidding just happened and on the internet, and people were like outbidding by like pennies and stuff. It was funny. It was good. It turned out really good. And I think that link that was just sent, they have other like designs. You don't have to just do the Valentine's Day one. We just were doing it around Valentine's Day, and that was like our whole campaign was around Valentine's Day. And then people were wearing them on Valentine's Day if they won them.
I was a little concerned about taking a lot of time out of people's work schedules. So I thought anything that I could stagger like for a week, would be beneficial. So kind of thought about if we did a trivia, and I work for Springs, if we've been doing a campaign for like 40 years, the trivia could be a little bit about our history because our building has been remodeled. So we could do a little history there, but also history about United Way. What did we affect? What did we do for the big event? And kind of get people talking about what we've done in the past and might inspire them to what we can do for the future. So kind of like making it a week-long event, and they could do it then when they had time. So if they wanted to take a break from Zoom meetings and for 10 minutes do trivia questions, and then the following week then they could turn it all into meet and do prizes. So kind of my quick idea.
In our group, we had a question on how you would regulate how people could donate. And what was suggested was just having like a suggested donation amount. So if you were doing trivia, have like a group of 5 people, and the suggested donation amount for the entire group is like $50. Did you guys exercise any other ways of donating, or how you would, I guess, regulate that with some of the different options?
Remember, you can also utilize mobile cause to text to donate that amount. So that's a really easy way to not have to deal with transaction. We'll give you the feedback loop and let you know who we've received donations from for your company. We probably have time for one more really good idea to share with the group. Who wants to close out the special events ideas section?
Okay, Steve. So I thought of a mask making contest that can be done in everybody's home per company, and not about the way they look, more about how many you can crank out per your household, and donate them to like CAC, just local places throughout the community that be needing more help with masks.
That is a very cool, interesting idea there. Wow.
And Steve, I thought about doubling down. So for example, I brought up an idea of like I draw, so like maybe doing like a drawing class, and then once that's all complete, then you take that picture and you donate that as well to be auctioned off. So maybe just some things where you can use it for 2 different events.
Don't forget to think too, you never really know what connections you have. Like I'm sitting here trying to rack my brain for ideas of what kind of silent auction items you can do. And one of the people in our group brought up doing like a virtual pairing. And then I remembered I have a connection at the Mustard Museum, and they do mustard pairings and they do mustard tastings. Like you never know what kind of silly little things you might have that you kind of take for granted that somebody else would be like, oh my gosh, that's really freaking cool. I would love to do something like that.
That is awesome. That Mustard Museum. If you haven't been, go when it's safe to go. I don't know if they're open, but I'm seeing in the chat too.
They are open. They're not doing tastings.
Okay, that makes sense. Considering moving our successful taco sale into a drive-through walking taco event, that's awesome. Awesome. So many great ideas. Thank you all for sharing. And thanks for attending today. We hope that you were able to take a few things away from the discussions you had throughout the morning. We're going to be sending a post-event email out. I just muted myself, didn't I? I was saying we're going to send a post-event email early next week with all the links that you need to educate, build empathy, engage, and empower your employees to help make a difference this year. Please reach out to your loan executives with additional questions. We are really looking forward to helping you deliver the best campaign that fits your company and culture. We're going to actually leave the Zoom meeting open if anyone wants to stick around and discuss anything further. And Haley can always throw a group into breakout if desired. But once again, thanks for everything you do, and have a great weekend.